Coming up, we'll rate NFL jerseys, the NCAA approves voluntary activities, and a look at the final 2 episodes of The Last Dance. But first, a 2014 playoff for the NHL.
This is Beyond the Stats with Tanner and Zack.
So, Zack, the NHLPA, or the National Hockey League Players Association, they have approved of a league's plan for a 24-team playoffs due to the coronavirus situation going on. They've approved of it for a conference-based playoff format for a restart of the 2019-2020 NHL season this summer, as sports are trying to slowly go back to normal. You know, we've got the golf tournament coming up here soon. NASCAR's now back in swing. But sticking with hockey, what are your thoughts about this approval for a 24-team conference-based playoff for this summer?
Yeah, I think it's a great way to get back into the season to play some hockey. It's a great way to kind of just move the season along. I don't think it really makes any sense to go back to the regular season and to just play some playoff hockey because, let's be honest, everyone loves hockey in the playoffs. Playoff hockey is like really, really good. They do a good job. The games are fast paced. They're played well. It's exciting. Yeah, NHL does the playoffs well, and I think it makes sense to put their best product forward when they come back on the field or on the ice.
Different sport.
Yeah, it's fun.
And then they, what has been confirmed and from what has seen through ESPN is that the top 4 seeds in each conference, based on the standings for the points percentage when the regular season was paused back in March, they would receive buys through a round of a best-of-5 play-in series featuring the 5 through 12 seeds. So it's definitely kind of a different format, but one that I think really works. And as you said, at this point, regular season, not that it doesn't matter, but at this point, they still need to crown a Stanley Cup champion. In terms of just the format, that's kind of what we're normally used to. Do you think this could be something that they look at, assuming that things slowly kind of get back to normal, that they could use for the future? Or do you think this is something they'll only use in this circumstance?
24 teams seems like a little too much most of the time, I think. And I'm going to be curious what you think about it, but I think 24 teams is a little bit too much at the moment, and I think we should move to I think we should move back to what the regular format is, but I think 24 teams makes a lot of sense at this point in time because it allows teams to get in the playoffs. It allows the playoffs to happen. It allows us to see as many fans as possible, which makes sense for the NHL. If your team's not in the playoffs, you're less likely to watch the playoffs. I mean, that's just kind of the truth. So if you're having as many teams in the playoffs, puts as many eyes on hockey. So it makes sense from a business standpoint, things like that. But it doesn't make sense most of the time. I think it makes sense in this special circumstance.
And Zack, I'm in agreement with you. In this circumstance, it's also a different format. And I think we've noticed this with a lot of sports. They're trying different formats, given the circumstance that some of these rules could be put into place when sports kind of hopefully go back to normal here within the next few months or within the next year or so. But so then, Zack, sticking with the NHL, it seems like that as of right now, the best team, at least in terms of wins and losses, is the Boston Bruins. So it looks like they're the favorites. But do you think there are any picks or any teams that you are especially excited to see in this new format or that potentially could make a deep run?
That could make, like you said, the Boston Bruins are always good. The Capitals are pretty good, especially with Alex Ovechkin. Just kind of looking at the seeds. So looking at the East, the top four seeds are the Bruins, Lightning, Capitals, and the Philadelphia Flyers. And then moving down, it's for play-in series, it's the Penguins and playing the Canadiens. The Hurricanes would play the Rangers. The Islanders would play the Florida Panthers. The Maple Leafs would play the Blue Jackets. And then in the Western Conference, top 4 seeds, St. Louis Blues, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, Dallas Stars. So the normal top teams, especially the Avalanche and the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights have been terrific ever since they entered the league. But then on the other side, it's the Oilers would take on the Blackhawks, the Predators would take on the Coyotes, the Vancouver Canucks taking on the Wild, and the Calgary Flame taking on the Winnipeg Jets. So it makes, so I think based on how the season's gone, I think and it's hard to make sense because every team's been hasn't been playing for 2 months. So who knows? So it's hard to make a prediction, but I think it would make sense to go with the teams that have the most playoff experience. So like a team like the Boston Bruins or the Capitals or the Flyers or the Golden Knights or the Colorado Avalanche, teams that are at the top. And it's harder to pick some of these lower seeded teams like the Canadiens or the Rangers or the Blackhawks. Just because while the Blackhawks are an exception because they have a lot of playoff experience because of their run in the early to mid 2000s, it's just 2010s. I mean, it's just hard to pick teams that are a little bit lower seeded, especially based on what's been going on the past couple of months.
And Zach, I think the one thing for sure is that when they get the official dates, the players, the fans, and anyone that loves the NHL is going to be excited. And I'm looking forward to see how this format will adjust with the players, with the coaches especially. And then again, just get ready to watch these players get back on the ice.
I agree totally, Tanner.
And again, looking forward to the NHL coming back here soon. We're going to be looking at some NFL jerseys and giving our opinions on them. Once again, I'm Tanner Camp with Zachariah Begley, and this is Beyond the Stats.
Back to Beyond the Stats, Tanner Camp. Alongside me, I'm Zachariah Begley. We're going to be talking about some NFL jerseys today. So, Tanner, 6 NFL teams got new jerseys this offseason, so we'll be rating them. Are you excited? I'm excited. Let's get to rating some jerseys. So before we start, though, the NFL teams are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Los Angeles Chargers, the New England Patriots, the Cleveland Browns, the LA Rams, and the LA Chargers. Yes. All right. So here are the 6 jerseys. So Tanner, starting with these are let's just run through the jerseys real quick. These are the Atlanta Falcons jerseys.
Okay.
And then the Chargers jerseys. Then the Rams jerseys. Then the Browns jerseys, the Buccaneers jerseys, and the Patriots jerseys.
Okay.
So those are the 6 jerseys. So let's start at the top. I think we have to go number 1 with the Chargers. I think they just have the best jerseys. It's not really that close, honestly. Like, they're just clean. They're simple. There are a lot of them. I'm not gonna lie. They made a lot of alternates, but you just have to agree. They're clean and simple. The bolt on the pants and on the shoulder and the helmet makes it symmetrical. It's not doing too much. It's not trying to stand out too much. It's just a simple redesign of what it already was. And I think it's a cleaner redesign, honestly.
Zach, I couldn't agree with you more on everything you said. The one point that I was going to make is that, the lightning bolt on the side of the pants, and I have to assume it'd be on the other side as well. I think the key word that you said in this whole thing is simple. There's not that one thing that just really stands out above it. Of course, I love the lightning bolt on the helmet. I always enjoy that. It's just simple and gets to the point. If I had to pick my favorite of these, though, I really like the 5th one where it's the blue, but then it's the yellow. I think I really like that, but also because that dark blue really helps the yellow pop out and really helps the lightning bolt. But as you said, all 6 of these are absolutely fantastic. And as you said, sometimes less is more, and that's what the Chargers did with these uniforms here.
Yeah, and speaking of less is more, I think we have to go with the Browns as the number 2, just because, again, it's a simple, sleek design. It's honestly reverting back to what the Browns had before their last jersey change in a lot of ways, but with some slight modern tune-ups, a little bit cleaner on the numbers, things like that. But yeah, it's It's realizing what they had before wasn't broke and trying to fix it or unfixing it, I guess. But yeah, you have to admit, like, these are also a pretty clean jersey design. It's all simple: the orange, the brown, the white, the black. Like, it's not trying to do too much. You would have to agree.
And I definitely do. And I think the one thing that makes it crazy is like with these colors, it works a lot better. Like if you are, just getting into football and you see the Cleveland Browns colors, it's kind of different with the colors they use, but they still find a way to make it work. And as you said, just like with the LA Chargers, it's just simple. It's kind of one of those right to the point. And as you said, just a few modifications to kind of make it a little modern, but still giving that feel that it is their own unique uniform. So yeah, no, I'd probably agree with you on this one too. I think this would be second for me.
Yeah. Number 3, the Patriots or the Broncos? What do you think, Tanner? I'm leaning towards the Patriots, but maybe it's the Broncos or the Buccaneers.
I mean.
Yeah, I said the Broncos. Wow. No, okay, I definitely mean the Buccaneers.
That is okay. Well, that's very tough. I think one thing with the Patriots that I do like is the stripes on the shoulders for both the white and the blue uniforms. I really like that. It kind of adds a real American feel to it, because that's one thing with the Patriots that from, and of course, the logo that we've all seen at their helmet. Man, that I'm like you. That's tough. I think for the Buccaneers, as we kind of go back to theirs here, I think the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I think the Buccaneers are 3.
I think 3, but it's like a very close 3. Some days it'll be the Buccaneers, some days it'll be the Patriots. But if it was like a right now, I think the Buccaneers. And for some reason, I think the one that I really enjoy, I love the white uniforms. I think the red with really with the little bit of orange. And if you look really closely at the sleeve, there's actually a ship for the Buccaneers. And I think that's the part that's really cool. So again, as of right now, I think I picked the Buccaneers, but any other day, the Patriots could also be number 3. But I agree with you. 3, 4 is Buccaneers and Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, the Buccaneers, the white is really clean with the red, and then the secondary ship logo really brings it out. And then the helmet I like the helmet. Has a little bit of a glossy sheen, but it's also a matte look at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know how they pulled that off to get it look glossy and matte at the exact same time. And then you can't go wrong with their logo right there on the helmet. The big old flag right there on the side. Like it's this is reverting back to their 2000s look after the other look before, to a certain extent, kind of like what the Browns did, but again, a little bit cleaner, I think. Keeping it simple. And I think, and the Patriots do the same thing as well. Even though theirs is more of a modern look, it's a simple look. I like it's the blue with the red and white. I mean, Patriots. It's the red, white, and blue. That's really simple. I like how the white is basically just an inverse of the blue jersey. Like that was a good design choice.
Absolutely.
By whoever designed these. Nike is, I think, who designed them. But yeah, good design choice to keep it invert it for the white jerseys from the blue jerseys. That was smart. And then we got to go 5. The Rams, 5. Not the biggest fans of these jerseys. I think the jersey does better than the logo. So I don't really like the LA Rams logo because it looks like a Chargers logo to me, but I don't think the jerseys are too bad. The one thing I have been seeing is the meme going around where the Rams jerseys look like Best Buy uniforms, especially this all blue jersey here in the middle. And I see it way too much. Like that's fair. Now I can't unsee that now. But I do like the helmets.
I was about to make that point. I like the helmets, but I think one thing that I miss, kind of like, at least back when they were in St. Louis also, was that they looked more, I liked the way the old horns used to look on the helmets, as you said, but also because it does give, unfortunately, a very Chargers vibe to it. So that's why the helmets, as much as I like the colors especially, but I don't know, at least with the old school helmets for, again, when the Rams were in St. Louis, I liked how it kind of added like a blue and gold, but I can with this. But again, when I saw this, I was like, wait, did Zach put 2 Chargers pictures on here at first? So yeah, no, I also will give props. I really like the white ones too. I think that kind of helps with it because the middle one seems too much blue, but with the white one or the one on the right, it's white plus the blue numbering. I really like the yellow line along the pants, and then the helmet. That's what helps make it pop. So if it's primarily the one on the right or the all white one, I think that's the one that I like if I had to pick this one. But definitely kind of in the lower half of the list we have.
Yeah. Also, the numbers fading on both of the blue jerseys. It's just too much is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the problem is. Like and I do like. Well, I like the horns because they do curve around and become a horn, and they don't look like a Charger C where the logo looks like. I was like, wait, did the LA Chargers get a new logo? Like the Rams helmets, they did a good job of making them look like ram horns, and it's nodding to how they were the first time they were in LA, but different color scheme. But yeah, I think their jerseys were pretty good already. They didn't really need to switch, but they're okay. And numbers at the bottom of the barrel has to be the Atlanta Falcons jerseys. There's just no way around it.
I think the thing is, like, the pieces are there. I kind of do like the ATL. I'm just going to say it, though. It almost seems like that this is just like it feels like they took the ATL from the Atlanta Hawks basketball uniforms a little bit like this. Yeah. You give your thoughts. I'll let you go.
I'm not feeling it, especially this red to blue fade thing here. The second one on the right from the middle. Like, what is going on with that one? Like, I don't. Yeah, it's just not great. None of these are really like just great. They're just. They're just not great. Like that's all I could think of.
If we did have to pick one, though, I think the one that would. I think I will admit the second one, or the one where it's the black with the red ATL, the white numbering, and the white pants and black socks. I will admit that one, I think, of all of these does look the best, but maybe also because to me personally, it seems the most simple, which has been kind of the theme with the jersey that we have liked. The more simple the design is, the better that it looks. So I would pick that one, but again, as a whole, this is definitely bottom for the jerseys that we've gotten again from that we've seen at this point.
Yeah, I would. If I had to pick one, I'd pick the one all the way to the right, the only one that doesn't have the ATL on it. I'm not a fan of the ATL on the jersey. I think that looks tacky. Yeah, it looks a little too tacky for me. If I had to pick one, I'd be the one all the way to the right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's how we feel about jerseys, about these NFL jerseys. When we come back, we'll be talking about the NCAA allowing some voluntary activities. This is Beyond the Stats with Zack and Tanner.
Back here on Beyond the Stats, I'm Tanner Camp alongside the one and only Zachariah Begley. Zach, the NCAA Division I Council, they have approved voluntary football and basketball activities for workouts for the month of June. And yeah, I think this is hopefully a good step, because when we think about these Division I sports, primarily football and basketball, it's a tricky situation because you can't just do the sport. You also have to think of them as students for the college. So when you hear this news about them doing voluntary workouts or activities for the month of June, do you think this is a sign that the NCAA Division I Council is trying to go towards any direction? Or do you think, what are your thoughts then when you hear this news?
Yeah, I think it makes it sound like NCAA is trying to get teams back into gyms or onto fields to kind of get things going. I mean, football is August? We're September. We're in May. We have a few months away. I think it's to try to get some people on the field, try to get some ideas started. I mean, the NCAA can only do so much. Like you said, they're students also. And if colleges are closed, they're not going to allow the sports but close the college. Like that won't happen. So it's hard to tell if this means anything because the NCAA is so reliant on colleges and a number of other factors that the NBA or the NHL or the MLB or MLS is not relying on. Like they're the governing body of all of athletic sports and for a lot of colleges across the country. But again, they're not. But the colleges have the final say. If the college wants to shut down the school and be like, the athletes can't show up, the NCAA can't be like, no, send them. Like they can't do anything about it because the college gets to make the final say on their particular school's sports. So it's hard to kind of judge that.
And we've seen lots of professors and high members of the college sports world say, because we've seen a couple universities already decide that they're going to online classes for the fall and that even to be cautious of reopening. So then when we see this, because they're deciding on a situation where for the 2020 football season and 2020-21 basketball season, it could be a certain situation where only certain schools decide to partake in this. A university by the end of the day can make the decision if they want to stay open, whether they want to decide to go to all online classes for the fall. Would you be opposed? Let's say you have some schools like, we'll just give for basketball, like a North Carolina or an Indiana University, or if you were to see those big schools decide not to play, but they still have the season, do you think that's going to affect other teams or those schools if they decide not to partake and they decide to go on with their season?
I mean, that could very well happen. I don't think that's the right move, though, by the NCAA. I think if they don't get 100% of the schools, I think they just cancel another season. I don't think you do it with 3/4 of the. If maybe one school misses, that's fair, or a couple of schools. But I think even if a third of the schools are like, we're not coming back, and it's my understanding that all California colleges are closed until 2021, which that means like UCLA and USC. That's some big name schools. So if we have college football in the fall, it will be because they reversed that ruling in California, which I would be surprised if they did that. So I don't think it's like that's a whole state gone, and California is the largest populated state. So there's a lot of schools in California and some really big name schools in California. So it would be hard for me to say that the season will happen because we know states are saying you can't go to school, and you hit a point where you can't do it anymore.
And to list of a couple of the other schools like California State University, also, as you said, they have officially announced that they're going to online for the 2020 fall semester. And they've even said that decision will impact other schools such as San Diego State, Fresno State, San Jose State. Again, not terribly big name schools in terms of that we've seen, at least for football, like in Alabama or Clemson, but still schools that can impact the schedule or impact how other teams play. Yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see where they go with this. And they've specifically for this one focused on football and basketball. They're going to look at other sports and potentially a decision either next week or the week after. But again, just another situation. We have no idea where this is going with it. But I like the direction still to have them at least have those voluntary workouts to, still stay in shape and kind of get a feel back on their own home court or turf or their own field. So, yeah, I think it's still a good move to at least have, and I think the key word, and I think you could agree with me on this, is voluntary workouts. I think that's the key word in this.
Yeah, that's true. It is voluntary workouts.
So that's the important thing. We'll see where this goes. Hopefully it goes in the right direction by the end of the day. The most important thing is to keep these young athletes safe as they try to progress in their athletic and academic careers. When we come back, Zach and I are going to talk about the last 2 episodes of The Last Dance. Once again, I'm Tanner Camp with Zachariah Begley, and this is Beyond the Stats.
Beyond the Stats, it's Tanner Camp and Zachariah Begley talking about episodes 9 and 10 of The Last Dance. Tanner, I mean, it's over. It's been a 5-week run. The ups and downs, the roller coasters. It's finally over, Tanner.
So much went on through this. And again, the fact that we were not supposed to get this until June or July, I am so glad. Well, either way, whether it would have been now or what it was now or back then, it was still fantastic. This is something that people needed now to kind of help fill that hole with no sports. And they did an absolutely fantastic job. And I really liked the 2 episodes per week, as you knew, Sunday, 9 o'clock through 11 o'clock. You were watching that, if you wanted to. But these last 2 episodes, what a great, if there's a way to end this perfectly, these 2 were great. So, starting with episode 9, it focused a little bit on the series with the Pacers that the Bulls had in 98. And then it also kind of focused on, it gave a lot more addition to kind of just that little rivalry series between the Jazz and the Bulls, and how Michael, as we've seen through the whole thing, Michael's spark was that Karl Malone won the MVP in 97. And Michael's like, well, then we're going to see if he really is the MVP. And then the Bulls win that championship. So I really liked that. And then I also liked one thing that might be a little underappreciated. They talked a lot about Steve Kerr. I love him as a coach personally. I think he's a fantastic coach next with the players. So it was great that he got his own segment to kind of talk about his background and his journey to really have to fight for his spot in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, and I knew about the Steve Kerr. Like, I knew his dad had passed away when he was in college, and I kind of knew that story to a certain extent. But it was good to hear a little bit more detail about it, learn a little bit more. I mean, yeah, that's just unfortunate for Steve Kerr. But I think, yeah, episode 9 was really good. The one thing that crushed me, the flu game. It's
food
not poisoning. The flu game. The food poisoning. It doesn't have the same ring to it, the food poisoning game. But I think the story is better. I think the story leading up to the game is better. But the name of the game, it's gonna stay the flu game, because the food poisoning game doesn't sound right.
No, definitely.
It doesn't ring.
I agree with you on that part right there.
But the story is better.
It really is. They really went in depth.
5 guys to show up with a pizza. And why are you ordering pizza at 2 a.m. in Utah? Here's my question. Why didn't they use a fake name? Why didn't they use an alias? Why would you give away the name Michael Jordan?
I guess the funny thing is, Michael Jordan is still a very common, Michael's a pretty common first name and Jordan is, but I guess we'll never know. Obviously, I think that's something. Who else
was in a hotel at 2 a.m. in Utah ordering pizza?
You never know. You never know.
It was pretty obvious it was Michael Jordan. They should have used an alias, and they should have sent it to Tim Grover's room, his trainer's room, because there is no way. I'm not shocked he got food poisoning from that pizza. Come on.
So then, going back to 1998, of course, the Bulls won that series against the Pacers 4-3. So kind of going to episode 10, the very last episode, I think both you and me can agree it was going to lead up to the 98 finals and leading to the shot that I personally think is one of the best moments for sure in the NBA and maybe even in the sports world. But I want to hear your thoughts first, because I've got some good points, but I want to hear your thoughts on the 10th and final episode of The Last Dance.
I'm shocked but glad they ended at 98 and didn't try to shove in his Wizards career afterwards. Yeah, I mean, he averaged 20 points a game with the Wizards and he wasn't bad, but I'm glad they ended it at 98 and didn't try to extend it by being let's talk about the Wizards. Also, the other thing about episode 10, it came out on last Sunday and it was finished the Thursday before, and I think that's insane to me. I mean, it reminds me of a project I had to do last year in college. We were doing a short film project for a film class, and we me and my partner were finishing up until the last second. It was due at 5 p.m. the night before the premiere, and we were working until 5 p.m. the night before premiere. So I get it. I get that. But it's just, I thought that was, it's insane that like they were like finishing it Thursday and airing it on Sunday. So, that was crazy to me. The Jerry Reinsdorf comments right there at the end, I think were pretty big. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you on that. They're really big. They were you were never expecting this because, if you really didn't look into this documentary or even in the Bulls, you are kind of confused. Like all of a sudden they just drop. But seeing this whole thing, and as you said, the Jerry Reinsdorf comments really just that was one of the big things that stuck with me at the end of it. It really made me think, but because we talked about it a little bit, before, filming this here, but yeah, it was kind of an interesting way. And it really makes you wonder what would happen if they went one more year for like a 1-year deal.
Yeah, if they signed everyone to 1-year deals to come back. I struggle to say the Bulls automatically win the 7th championship. I don't want to bet against Michael Jordan, but I also don't want to say yes. Then because the Spurs that won in '99, that Spurs team was real good. Like if you think about it, I mean, like if you look at who that was between David Robinson and Tim Duncan, like the Bulls don't have anyone to answer those two. I mean, the Spurs, I guess, threw Bruce Bowen at Michael Jordan, but like no one really to guard Michael in the same way either. So I don't want to necessarily bet against the Bulls, but I also don't want to be like for sure they would beat, for sure 100% would beat the Spurs because Tim Duncan, David Robinson is a tough duo to beat.
No, definitely. And it makes you wonder because that's when other teams were starting to really go on the rise. The Pacers had a great couple of years. The Knicks also had a great run. Of course, the Spurs started building their dynasty. But as we get ready to kind of wrap up this episode and just wrap up with The Last Dance, I will say this again. It was absolutely fantastic. I'm glad that they decided to push this out now rather than have us wait till June, July. And I think my favorite Michael Jordan quote in that episode, and even probably just in the whole documentary, was all you needed was one match to start a whole fire. And that is, I won't say define his whole career, but it is a massive impact on it. So I loved this. I'm probably going to end up rewatching it and binge watching it all 10 episodes. So we will see if I do that. And when I do, I will make sure you know that. But fantastic. I don't know where they'll go from here for other documentaries. Got some great ones coming up, but The Last Dance, I applaud it. And it was just a fantastic run.
Yeah. If I were to say my favorite moment of the entire thing, probably has to be, episode 1, just talking about MJ, where he came from, I think is my favorite part. I don't think episode 1 is necessarily the best episode. I think episode 7 is my favorite episode, to be honest. Well, episode 8 is my favorite episode, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it was really good all the way through. And let's hope Tom Brady's 9-part docuseries that comes out next year is as good as this. And we can talk about it for 5 weeks also. Yeah, no, that was really good. That's really all we have. You can check us out on all our social medias, Beyond the Stats, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Of course, we're on most major platform sites at Beyond Stats. If you can, leave some feedback for us. We really appreciate that. Of course, on YouTube, Beyond the Stats. Like, comment, subscribe. Links to our social media is in the description there on YouTube, so you can watch YouTube video, go straight to the social media, check out what we're doing on there. We post stuff up there daily, just questions to get conversations going, so people can check that out.
Until next time, I'm Tanner Camp alongside Zachariah Begley, and this has been Beyond Stats.